everybody, welcome to the shop and the 67 GTO project. We're going to work on the cowl here because there's a bunch of rust in this area as well as the other side. So let me flip the camera around and show you what we're dealing with. All right, guys, so on this side, you can see we've got rust in here, right? Rust in here. We got rust here that's gone through a couple layers because here is a piece I took off a shell body. And as you see, here's a layer, there's a layer, you know, separate layer, here's the top layer. So I'm probably going to see what I need to do to cut this out and what we can do to weld this in. And that way we have a couple of these pins, right, to put the clips in for the windshield. Because if you notice, you know, this one's like rotted out and gone. So what I'm going to do is we'll hit the wire wheel, clean all this up, hit all this up, and then we will start cutting out and, you know, seeing what I need to do to weld this in. I might even, you know, remove the paint from this, drill out the couple of spot welds so I can weld maybe this piece in independently, you know, under here so that we've got a nice structural piece, and then, you know, weld this piece back on top. So that way, instead of just, you know, welding here, for example, right on the end, you know, then, or right here, you know, along this edge, we can actually reinforce and build this structurally correct. And then, coming to the other side, we have to do basically the same thing here, right? You know, I've got another piece here that I can kind of use. This piece isn't as good as you can see. So, but I do have this section as well that I cut out. So if I need to use this to help make patch pieces, I can. So, you know, we've got several options here to work with. And then as you can see, right, we got that, and then I need to fix this hole. All right, guys. Well, I didn't do a time lapse or anything. I did do a lot more cleaning up than I was going to. You can see I cleaned up this area a bunch, removed a lot of the paint. Top of the dash, I did get in here, you know, the wiper areas, and really nothing new popped up, right? Little spot right here. And that was about it. So anyway, looks like I need to, you know, weld this, and then looks like the dash, I need to come down here and weld in a piece, you know, in this area. You know, so anyway, we'll have to cut this out because when I was taking the wire wheel, it was pulling a lot of, you know, debris out of here. So we'll have to figure out how to just make a nice clean cut here, cut it here, and kind of see what this does. Oh, so I run this filter, guys. You know, there's a small blower motor in there, you know, for like an old furnace. And those were new filters. So you can see how much grinding, you know, dust and rust and stuff that actually did catch. There is a bunch still on the floor, but that caught a lot of it. So what did I use? I used one of these guys. You can get these on Amazon, you know, in packs. This does a really nice job of stripping paint. And then I also used, you know, this wire wheel here. What I do is, you know, I'll run it for a little bit, and then I'll take the wire wheel and flip it over. You know, and then the wires will be going the other direction, and it'll strip good for a little bit, and then I'll take it and flip it over again. They'll strip good for a little bit, flip it over again, you know, so that way it really helps remove the paint instead of just leaving it on in one direction. The other thing I do is I run a speed controller on my angle grinder, one of those speed controllers, and I'll run it like right on the low medium mark. That way I've got a lot more control, and those wires aren't like flying everywhere in your eyeballs, which you don't want, that kind of thing. I'll put links to Amazon to some of those wire wheels and those other things that I use, those other this type parts. You can see here, nothing really new other than that hole and what we knew here. It did open up a little spot right there, and it did, you know, a few more pinholes in this area. So this is where, again, I'm gonna have to cut this out and then, you know, make a couple pieces, weld in here, and figure out how I'm going to get the grinder down in there to do it. So hopefully I can, you know, make a piece and, you know, like come up here and weld it so then I can take and kind of grind it down fairly easy. Anyway, let me now figure out how I'm going to cut this apart and, you know, where the welds are, that kind of thing, and see what we can do to repair this. All right, guys, so looking at this piece, you know, and after I had removed the paint from all up here, there's no spot welds up here. So all the spot welds are going to be along this edge here of the channel. All right, guys, so you saw a bunch of pictures, right? What I've been doing, as well as getting a war wound. You know, I've got this piece here to fit in, you know, so I just need to move it a little, and then we'll tack it in, and we'll weld along right here, and that will all be nice and tight and give it a little grind, maybe, depending on if I do a good job of TIG welding it. We may not need to do hardly anything. And then this piece here, we'll see if we can set it placed without this all falling apart. We will then weld that on like so. And so guys, as you saw from the stills, you know, I pretty much have it done. I might try to come in here with the TIG tip and just kind of see if I can melt this in here a little better. I say melt, but kind of do a little swirl and try to clean this up just a little bit. We'll see. But you know, she is definitely all in there. You know, this ain't going anywhere. So anyway, guys, what I need to do is on this side, right, you can see this piece is pretty rotted out, you know, which goes here. So I can use this for a template, you know, and then carefully somewhere in here, probably cut this out, come down, you know, through here and make a piece from this one. All right, guys, so I'm doing a repair here to this rust spot, and you know, instead of trying to take, you know, angle grinder wheel, right, and try to get in there, and you know, there's just no room. Taking a washer, I'm going to weld it. Hopefully it doesn't fall through. I'm going to weld it there, and then it'll allow me to use the, you know, this round bit, drill through, and basically open this whole area up as one big opening. That way I have better metal to weld to. You know, and I can cut this out, and then I can, you know, cut a round patch panel, weld it in, and grind this down. Because I don't know how far I'm gonna have to go out. Like I said, there's not a lot of room to do this. So I'm gonna weld that washer there, use my metal bit here, drill this out, and then I'll make a patch panel and weld it in. And there we go, guys. Look at that. We got a nice round opening here. You know, nice. We should have good metal. There's a little bit right there that maybe not the best. well, let's clean this up. Let's go ahead and make a patch for this, and we'll weld it up and show you the end result. So there you go, guys. Hope that little tip or trick helped you guys out, you know, with a simple little rust repair, how you can do that. So now let's go back to this. And first thing we got to do is create this piece, you know, to come out to somewhere around in here. And then, you know, we can, you know, figure out how I'm going to make something for this top piece. Anyway, let's follow the pictures for some of the next steps here. All right, guys, so we are going to cut this one up and use this one to see if we can't make a piece to repair this between these two. So you can see it's pretty gnarly, right, all through here. So this is pretty much junk, and it's not too great in through here. So what I'm gonna do is right in through this area, I think I'm going to kind of cut here and then kind of over and down. And then what we'll do is we'll take it, right, kind of match it up here best we can. And, you know, we'll cut this down a little bit here. We'll cut down this a little bit here, you know, and then we'll kind of TIG weld it along here very carefully and grind it down. TIG weld it across here very carefully, right, grind it down. And then, you know, we'll figure out how far I got to go down and all that to make this work. Alright guys, so here it is, all welded up with the TIG welder. And I've got a nothing fancy TIG welder, Lincoln 175, there's no pulse, no nothing. And we were able to get her all welded up pretty decent here. So we'll go ahead and grind her now nice and smooth. Do a little grinding on the inside to get that cleaned up a little bit. And then, you know, we'll work on the fitment of it. I still need to take this piece, clean it up, and then weld in a little piece here. Actually, it's going to go like this, but I need to cut a small piece of this up, weld that in here. I'm sorry, whoops, weld it in here, and then we can take this piece, and then we'll do final fit here. So I've got a mark right here. You may not be able to see it. There's a Sharpie to line up with the stud, and then it's going to go in like that. And then I need to cut it down here. You know, I need to cut this down so it fits here and clean this up a little bit, so then we'll get a nice tight fit. And then we can weld it down into this, right? And get that all fit up. And you're right in about now, you're probably going, why is this guy doing all this work when you can buy this whole new piece? Well, if I cut it out, I still got to cut this whole thing in here and grind it out and weld it all up anyway. That, and I want to improve my welding skills, my fabrication skills. And I think I did a nice little job creating this piece. So, well, like I said, we'll get this ground down. So she should be a nice smooth transition here. And then once we get the high film build primer on this and get it painted, you'll hopefully never know that I actually made this piece. All right, guys, so we took that pile of scrap and made this pile of scrap. So she ain't perfect, but boy, you know, as she turned out, she seemed to turn out pretty nice. She might be just a hair high, but you know, she, anyway, she is in here. She's all welded up. You know, we'll get the channel, you know, in here, the seal. You'll never see any of this on it. You'll see this, you know, but you'll never see any of this. So she's good enough for my skills. I'm actually really happy the way it turned out. Once we get some high build primer in here, maybe just a skim coat of filler, you know, you'll never even know this was done. But at least she is solid, all good metal in here now. You know, she isn't all rusty, right, and crappy like that. So, yeah, I'd say we call this a win. So guys, like I said, you know, I'm doing the best I can with my skill set, and I'm improving every day, getting better at TIG welding and stuff. You know, I'm not a professional by any means. I am an amateur that enjoys doing it, and I'm trying to do it right, at least. You know, put in all good metal, you know, solid metal, so that she's going to be a solid car, you know, when I go out and enjoy it. So anyway, at least you know, if you go to repair your cowl, if you've stayed and watched the whole video, thank you. What you're going to need to do to go through and do these types of repairs to your car. Granted, you know, you'll most likely have to buy the entire top piece, you know, cut it out and weld the new one in, or maybe cut the sections that you need and, you know, weld it in. However you want to do it, that'll be up to you. So like I said, I'm pretty happy with the way this turned out. Hopefully when we go to assemble this car all together, everything fits. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Please share, subscribe, you know, hit the little bell, all that fun stuff. Anyway, have a great day in your shop.